Hello, my friends, and welcome to another fantastic episode of the AI Show. This is Seth Juarez here, your friend, your partner. Nay, we're family. Pretty excited to be here today, my friends. I thought we would spend some more time on the project and this time get some more stuff done. We almost got some things done last time. We're going to get it done this time. Pretty sure. All right, let's do this. By the way, where's everybody from today? Got some people. Look at that. Microsoft developer is here. Hi. So good to see you. Where'd my pen go? Here it is. By the way, I bought some new stuff for the stream. I'm super excited to play with it. Egypt. Samson Fati, welcome. Ivana is also here. Thank you. Daniel, thanks for coming. Sharafuddin, AI music indeed. By the way, these are all ethically sourced pieces of music where we buy them and pay people for this wonderful stuff. I think it's great. Jay McCormick, indeed, there are toys. I might sneak them in. I'm not going to tell you when, but I'm going to do it. Who else we got here? Daniel Iheanacho, welcome. Oscar Chelik, hopefully I said that right. Hi. Jerry Friend. I like that. Jerry Friend, fantastic. It's time to get our AI on. That is correct. Johannesburg, Tabo, welcome. Lovely town. Today, if I may, we're doing a couple of things. We may even have a special guest. I don't know if I emailed them. They said they might be able to come help us out with some TypeScript type stuff. So number one, we got to do this in red. It's got to be red. It feels like a red moment. My wife's making faces at me. Look at her. She's fantastic. Number one, we're going to be doing, not in this order, but we're maybe in this order, text to speech. Number one. My wife's funny. Windows 11 coming soon. In fact, yesterday, I wasn't supposed to talk about it, but I got to help out. Oh, my hair is looking a little too corporate today. There we go. And then number two, we're going to be doing speech to text. It's like you get a twofer. So I'm excited about that one. And then number three, we are going to be continuing on our Roshambo.ai project. I've actually bought this domain. Do y'all remember? We purchased this like months ago. It's sitting there in my wasteland of domain names. You know, where we're like, I'm totally going to do this project. They'd sit there and laugh at us. Roshambo.ai. We're going to try to get as close as we can to inference in the web using, I should have planned this better. I'm writing stuff down. The Onyx runtime for the web. Yes, that's right. We're going to be running AI models in our browser with JavaScript. I feel like we'll see. We can do it. Jerry Friend says, I want to start an AI quantum Q Sharp. I got Windows 11 already. Yes. By the way, Q Sharp is fantastic. Maybe we should do a one day have like a divergence and be like, let's do quantum computing programming. It's cool stuff. All right. So those are the things we're doing today. Also, as always, all of your questions are super important to me. And like I said, I don't know if this is going to happen. So I'm not going to, I don't know if they'll be able to make it. But number four, special guest. Remember that one time Caitlin called us in the middle of the show? I thought it was hilarious. Special guest, maybe to help us with TypeScript. and project. I am a Can you read this? Oh my gosh. Let me write this pretty. Type script. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. All right. So these are the 4 things we're going to do. We may not get to number 4. I don't know. They did not confirm with me, but if they show up, it's going to be epic. Sure, we can read that, says Microsoft developer. The shade. I mean, did it just get dark in here? I think it's time to bring on our actual guests today. How you doing, friends? Oh, let me unmute y'all. Unmute. There you go. How's it going, my friends?
Doing great.
Hey, Seth.
Hey, Seth. It's awesome to be on your show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You say that now, but there's still time to mess it up. So we've got Edward here and Heiko. They're going to be text. By the way, they were telling me that this slide here was actually backwards. Speech to text is Heiko. Text to speech, Edward. Is that right?
Yes.
That is correct.
Okay. And in fact, we're going to talk speech to text first.
I know. And so I got it like super backwards. Edward's like, Seth.
Yeah. Maybe you need some AI to help you get it straight.
Burn! Oh my gosh. Someone just died. It was me. That was me inside of my head. It was really bad. Thank you. So a couple of things, friends. I know we talked about what we're going to talk about a little bit, but this is like a live studio audience. And so are you all okay staying after we do the thing to answer questions from the people that are here?
Sure.
Okay. So everyone make sure you get your questions ready. I know my mom logged on like 3 times, because we got to boost these numbers. Got to pay the bills, right? You know what I'm saying? So just some instructions to you, my friends. I will cut to your screens myself when it's time to do that. Also, look at the camera when you're talking to me or to the peoples. If you run out of things to say, just stop talking. Any other instructions that I give people? I don't chat. What else? What other instructions should we give them? They'll say something in a second. But yeah, just have fun. And also, we try to make it all in one cut. So don't say things like, can we do that part over again? Because then we have to. Everyone's like,
yes.
I remember I used to record these things and dudes were like, can I do this part over? And I'm like, well, I have to now. But if something totally messes up, then yeah. Ivana says, for sure, have fun. Of course. Thank you, Ivana. Sharafuddin, speech to text means browser-enabled speech recognition. We'll have to save that one for the end. They're going to think about that one. It's going to be a good one. But again, we're here to have some fun. What else? Jay is saying, oh, yeah. Especially the intros seem to get redone a couple of times. Also throwing some shade because I'm the one who usually messes them up. Oh, righty. All right, you ready, friends? Let me get the banner up here. This is the title of today's show. Improving customer experiences with speech to text and text to speech. All right, everybody ready? I'm saying that for myself.
Great.
Let me zoom into this so I know what I'm doing. We do, for those that are watching, we do like talk about this beforehand, like for like a half hour. Though, if you're wondering, it's not like we like show up cold to these. And so I write some notes on how to do stuff. And this is how it happens like at other conferences, like Build and Ignite. We kind of know what's going on, except when we don't. And then we just make it up. So, all righty. Y'all ready?
Sounds good.
Yep.
All right, let's do it. Okay. Game face. You're not going to want to miss this episode of the AI Show where we talk about improving customer experiences with speech to text and text to speech. Make sure you tune in. Oh, I messed it up. My buttons. Ugh, I messed it up. Sorry. Hold on. Okay, there we go. That's not the one. Okay. I messed it up. Such a good one until I messed it up. All right, here we go. You're not going to want to miss this.
Mhm.
Oh man, I'm terrible. I don't know why they still pay me. Here we go. You're not going to want to miss this episode of the AI Show where we talk about improving customer experiences with speech to text and text.
Those are hard.
It's why we
Tongue
wrote AI to
twisters.
do it for us. I should have just had the AI read it for me. We should do that. Like one day. You know
Yeah,
what? You know what?
we
Maybe we
could, we
should.
could totally do that.
At the end of
Yes.
this show, when we're done, we'll be like, all right, let's talk about this solution where I make the computer read it in my style, in a foreign language. Wow. Spoiler alert.
Mhm.
All right, here we go. You're not going to want to miss this episode of the AI Show where we look at improving customer experiences with speech to text and text to speech. Make sure you tune in. Hello and welcome to this episode of the AI Show where we're talking about improving customer experiences with speech to text and text to speech. I've got a couple of guests with me. Hello, my friends. Why don't you tell us who you are and what you do? We'll start with you, Edward.
Hi, Seth. My name is Edward An, and I am a program manager for text to speech. My focus is on custom neural voice, and I work with the other program managers and engineers when developing custom neural voice, and I also engage with our customers who is implementing this technology.
Awesome. Heiko.
Yeah, hi, Seth. My name is Heiko Rahmel. I'm a principal PM architect in the cognitive services team, and I work on speech recognition, text to speech. Like Edward, I also work a fair bit with third-party customers that are using our services, and looking forward to showing you what we got.
Awesome. So let's start with you, Heiko. Why don't you tell us a little bit about speech to text?
Yeah, so we just recently reached a milestone where we now support over 100 languages and locales with our speech recognition. So that's a large portion of the world that we cover now for speech recognition, and can use our service both for real-time and batch transcription. So, you know, if you have a real-time stream, you can use it. If you have a whole bunch of audio files that you want to get transcribed, you can use our batch service for that. And we have some ability to let you customize our models so that if you have, you know, special jargon, special vocabulary, or, you know, a unique situation, you can adapt it so we can really get it right. And we'll show you a bit what that looks like. And then we have a couple of new things. One is continuous language detection, and the other one is pronunciation assessment we'll talk about later.
Awesome. So can you show us how this works? Because I know text is pretty much converting people speaking into actual text is what I'm guessing is what it is. Am I getting this right?
That is correct. Yeah, so let me pull up a screen here. Just give me a second. Just need to find the right one. Where is it? It's not wanting to come up. All right. So we have this new tool called Speech Studio. And actually, if I go to the top of it, I'll just show you briefly. So here you can try out some of our capabilities like speech to text and the customization as well and the pronunciation assessment. Edward will later use it for some text to speech stuff. And I just wanted to call out, we also have some things around voice assistants, like custom keywords and custom commands, but we won't have time to talk about that today. So if you wanted to try out our real-time speech to text, you can just go here on this website, and you can choose your language, and then you can actually just talk to the microphone. So if I click this, it will transcribe my speech. Let me try that again.
It kind of caught you in the middle of it.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of lag here. So let me try that one more time. So if I click this, it will transcribe my speech.
That's pretty cool.
And, you know, a lot of times you might have some audio file that you want to transcribe, and the one I'm using might sound familiar to you.
All right, let's see.
So I'm going to grab this one and just drop it in here, and let's see what happens. And I'm going to start playing it as it transcribes.
Okay. Hello, friends, and welcome to another fantastic episode of the AI Show. I'm pretty excited to be here. My name is Seth Juarez, and you are coming live into my beautiful art gallery here that I've got behind me.
This is so laggy. Sorry.
All right, where's everybody from today? Cool. We've got our good friend Jenny Stew, number 7. Howdy doodle. It's good to have you here. Ivana is here. She's awesome. She makes
That's
real
really
things,
good.
right? I make demoware, which is not the same, but similar.
Yeah, okay. So you can see this is, with all the music in the background and stuff, it does a really good job at transcribing this. I did one thing that I wanted to show, which is that I actually adapted our model here. You can provide a list of some words and phrases to use, and because before it was like Jenny's Q7, number 7. That's not something that you typically see, written that way. But you can just put that word in, and then it will transcribe it correctly. And something like howdy doodle is also probably more a Seth thing than what people regularly say. So I put that in there as well, and so then it gets all those words right, which is pretty straightforward to do.
That's really cool, because I was wondering, how did it knew while the music was playing, which was pretty cool. So a quick question: is there a way to access this all via API, or can you only do this in the website?
No, absolutely. We have an SDK, and you can look at our documentation for that, and we actually have links for all of that here. We also have a GitHub repository. You just go here, and it will pull that up here in a minute. And you can, we have some quick starts and things to get you going. And if you I don't know why it's not.
It's okay. We will edit this part to make it look a little snappier. So just click on the thing you want.
There you go. It's pulling it up. It's just slow, I think, with the stream going.
We're using your browser to send your video too, so that's probably what's not helping it at all, but that's okay.
Yeah, and so you can do the it in a whole bunch of different languages. We have everything from C# to Java to even things on iOS, etc., and JavaScript. And so to the question that was there earlier around whether you can do this in a browser, you can absolutely do that, because the sample that I just showed you, that website, is written using our JavaScript SDK. So
that's awesome. All right, so let's move over to the new stuff. What's new? As of recently.
Yeah. So if I go back to the top here, I can go to pronunciation and assessment. And that is a thing that is in particular for people that are wanting to do something around language learning, or coaching you. So we have this built into the PowerPoint presentation coach, for example, to give you some feedback on how you're talking. But also, if you're learning a language, you want to know how to, whether you're pronouncing things right and you get it all right. What it does, it will provide you with with feedback. So here's a text that we have a sample for that somebody read, and it will tell you whether you added a word. So here in this text, it was a kid reading it, and he said long, long walk instead of just long walk. So we can detect those kinds of things, or if you miss the word. And also if you mispronounces a word. And so like the word countryside, he mispronounced. And you get a score for, your pronunciation, the accuracy of it, completeness, and etc. So that's one of the things that is new.
That's really
and
cool.
then the other thing that I wanted to show you was we also have now continuous language detection. So if you have an audio stream where there's a whole bunch of different languages in it, or sometimes there's a switch, what we can do now is continuously run something that detects the language, and then as it feeds it to the speech-to-text engine, it tells it what language to use to then recognize that correctly. And in the end, you end up with a multilingual transcript. And so just to give you an example, on the left side, you will see it without language ID, and on the right side with. This is a colleague of mine colleagues of mine that are doing this.
Thank you for calling 311 Service Center. How may I help you?
Hello. ¿Sí hablas español?
Sí, absolutamente. ¿En qué puedo ayudar?
Oh, genial. Quería pedir ayuda para que quiten la nieve de la entrada.
So it automatically figures out that the language changed, and it's super useful in a whole bunch of scenarios like this 311 service.
That's really, really cool. Thank you so much, Heiko. So I think we need to move over to Edward, who's been watching intently. Let's talk about text to speech. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, I was going to talk about our recent update in text to speech. There's a feature in custom neural voice that I want to talk about is the cross-lingual adaptation. As you remember, a couple of months ago, or a little more than that, we were in the show talk about custom neural voice. That's when GA. But now we have a new feature in custom neural voice called cross-lingual. And so I will talk about that. And the other things that I just want to mention that we also continue to create more voices. And so we now we recently released a bunch of voices as well, and now we have 250 voices across 70 locales.
So for those that don't know, because this is like crazy cool stuff, basically you type some text in and the computer reads it to you in a human-like voice. Is that right?
That's right.
And now custom neural voice, which makes it, you can actually train it to sound like somebody, but now custom neural voice, you can make someone who you made sound like the real person when you typed in text, you can make them sound like a different language. Is that right?
That's right. That's the feature that we just released, and you don't have to have the training data of that language. So just the training data of the original language. Then when you train the model, you can train a model that can speak the other language, and so it's great for if you want to keep the same brand of the voice, but you can actually speak different languages, and also you don't have to actually get all the recordings across if you want to do all these languages. So right now we support 13 languages, and it's not just English to all these languages. Any of these languages can be used as training data, and then generate the models that can speak the other language. And it's all can be all done in the self-serve portal.
This sounds really cool. I kind of want to see it. Can you show us?
Sure. So let me do my browser. So this is the same speech studio that Heiko just mentioned, and down here is the text-to-speech area. But before I go to custom voice, let me just show you voice gallery, because I mentioned earlier that we have many more voices. So now we have this voice gallery, so it will make it much easier for you to see all the voices that we have and listen to it. So it's loading. I can just go to this one that has loaded with English. So for example, if I click Jenny and I can quickly listen to her voice, Like,
Well, come to think of it, I think that was a cover version of like a John Lear,
or you
the
can pick her
$100 million carbon
different
removal
style.
X Prize, which is funded by SpaceX.
And you can see that we have a bunch of other voices already just released as well for American English. And this one is also what we had just announced, that same voice, Jenny, can speak different languages. So that's
We look
her
forward to working with you.
English, but she also can speak Chinese
我们期待与您合作.
or
We look forward to working with you.
Japanese.
私たちはあなたと一緒に働くことを楽しみにしています.
So these are the voices that we provide for you, but let's go to custom voice.
Let's do it.
So in custom voice, remember so this is the same place where I would go to the studio, and I click custom voice, and you can create a project, and assuming that you have to apply, and once you apply, you get access, get approved and get access, then you can go in, and I already created a project for this demo, and it's very simple. Just a few steps to get your consent file and set up the voice talent and get the data trained. Get data uploaded, and then you train and then deploy. So in this example, I already show that I already uploaded Seth. We're using your voice, and you already have a consent statement uploaded.
I, Seth Juarez, am aware that recordings of my voice will be used by Microsoft to create and use a synthetic version of my voice. You got
Sounds
it.
familiar. And so the next step is to upload the data. So I also have already uploaded the data, and you can actually go and see the quality of the data that you have used in the training data. In this case, you can see we only use 300 lines of your recording, and that's what some of the recording sounds like. So this is what we use.
This is the customer service department.
So the next step is to train the model. To train the model, you click Train Model, and you select Neural, and here's the place where you can train, just like before. You can train the language, the model of the language, the same as the training data, or this is the new feature that says you can transfer to a different language. So this is, I can say, so let's say I want to train a voice in, I already make some already, let's say Chinese. And so I say next. And so select the training data, choose the speaker file, click. I'll just use standard text test files.
So to be clear, as you're doing this, we are using the 300 utterances that I made in English to make it speak in a different language. Am I understanding this right?
That's correct. And I will show you some of the results very soon. So now I submit this, but normally this take a number of hours to do it. But I already have the voice that's already trained ahead of time. So you can see I have your voice trained in German. So this is the US, your original language, the US voice. But I also have Spanish, French, and Japanese.
What?
Just to hear a little bit of what your English voice sounds like. So I can say.
Make me say something dumb.
What's that?
Make me say like why did the chicken cross the road to get to the other side?
The chicken cross the road.
Hi, this is Seth. Why does the chicken cross the road? Weird. That's so cool.
But so that's the English voice, right? But as you remember, we already deployed the German, Japanese, and French. I can easily go here and test as well, just like what we did. But you can also use audio content creation tool, which I already have it set up, which is here.
Okay.
And so I already loaded before the show, and see that I actually created the different lines. So let's just play it and see.
I've seen this movie already. Estoy deseando que lleguen las cosas emocionantes. 2 des 4 entrées sont maintenant ouvertes. 私はすでにこの映画を見てきました。 2 der 4 Eingänge sind nun geöffnet. Oh my goodness. I only speak 3 out of those 5 languages. I'll leave it up to y'all to guess. That is uncanny. And so with the things I said in English, you were able to make me speak in a foreign language.
Right. Because we use the our Neo TTS training model that has contained multi-speaker, multi-language model. So we can capture your voice, but we actually create a model that you can speak in the other languages.
Oh, I want you to play it again because this is bananas. Can you play it one more time?
Sure.
I've seen this movie already. Estoy deseando que lleguen las cosas emocionantes. 2 des 4 entrées sont maintenant ouvertes. 私はすでにこの映画を見てきました。 2 der 4 Eingänge sind nun geöffnet. Yeah, I mean, like, I speak Spanish, but that Spanish is not like my accent because it's very like Mexico City. Like, even if you were to play, it's just the way they round the vowels is uncannily good. It's pretty amazing. So here's a question. Can this all be done via an API? I know we're using the browser here, but I suspect there's an API for this as well.
Yes. So for training the model, you still have to go through the model to train it. Just the steps I made. But once the model is trained, then you can use the API. Just like it becomes different models that it's available. So you can set the API and specify the voice name that we created.
This is cool. So let's talk a little bit about, Edward, the ethics of this. I feel like we need to have some time, because now you can make me say anything in any language. There's got to be some ethics involved with this somehow.
Sure. Yes. So I will just show you. So custom neural voice is a GA service. However, it's a what we call a limited access service because it has ability to create a voice that just sounds like the original voice of the person. And so at Microsoft, we take responsible AI very seriously. So on one hand, we want to protect the person whose voice is used for training. But at the same time, we want to make sure that the synthetic voice being used are now used appropriately and protect the people using it, or protect the society on the whole. So anyone who wants to use this service has to apply to gain access. And we have a team of people looking at about the customer and what type of use case you're gonna use, and we will make approval accordingly. And once you're approved, you would need to agree to the terms of use and the code of conduct, such as making sure that you have the consent from the voice talents, you have the proper disclosure to the end user so that they are not being duped to not knowing that they're actually interacting with synthetic media instead of the real person. So so these are the things that we want to make sure that is done appropriately.
I'm glad we talked about that, because I'm comfortable because I did give consent to you. I knew my voice was to be used in this way. You use it for demo purposes, which I'm totally okay with. I might use it to get people to read my blog, like for accessibility reasons. I might put it on my blog to hit play. Read this part of the blog for me, in my voice, which would be really cool. But let's go to you, Heiko, and then we'll go back to you, Edward. What kinds of things are people doing with speech to text and text to speech? We'll start with you, Heiko.
Of customers that are using it to transcribe sort of human-to-human conversations. So, for example, in Teams, when you use Microsoft Teams, in meetings, we can provide captions, we can provide transcripts, and that really makes Teams a lot more accessible. But we also are working with Twitter on providing a similar captioning capability for the new Twitter Spaces thing that they're working on. So that's really cool. And again, the goal is to make it more accessible, more inclusive. In more sort of driving business value, dollars kinds of things, we're working with companies in the call center space where they take the data from call recordings to either transcribe them and analyze them after the fact to learn from that. So like Allstate leverages this when you file a claim, so they don't have to come back to you after you've told them everything about the claim and sort of repeat yourself. That's not a great experience for the customer. It also costs extra money to have these longer calls, sort of go over everything again, like what happened during an accident. And we also have companies that are using this to help call center agents to support them in real time, give them hints as to what they should be doing, make sure they answer the customer questions right. So there's a whole bunch of that. And then, of course, we also have customers that are using it for voice agents. So, for example, Swisscom is using our speech recognition on their set-top box. So you can talk to the set-top box and ask for movies or switch applications. And there we also use the text-to-speech stuff that Ed covers.
That's cool. Edward?
So there are actually a lot of different types of applications people can use for text-to-speech. We have seen a lot of them used for online learning and or read aloud in different applications. For custom neural voice, we are also seeing companies using voice to, let's say, build their chatbot with a branded voice, like Progressive Insurance with the Flow voice. Recently, we also worked with AT&T to build the Bugs Bunny voice. So there are a number of different cases. And for cross-lingual, we are starting to get also customers who want to use a branded voice that can actually speak the different locale, so that they can actually reach to the other the customers that speak all languages. And you mentioned that, Seth, that we also have a lot of customers interested in using the synthetic voice of their voice to use as voiceover for videos. So that's makes it much more efficient in creating videos.
This is awesome. Where can people go to find out more?
Oh, yes. So I have this slide on, and so these are some of the places that you can go, to see our speech service overview. There were a bunch of 6 quick starts and a bunch of blogs that you can go to.
Well, this has been absolutely amazing. I'm always impressed by the work that you all do. We've been learning all about improving customer experiences with speech-to-text and text-to-speech. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Take care. Awesome. I think did you hear the bumper audio twice? Did it echo for you?
No,
Maybe it was...
a little bit, maybe.
Okay, so
I don't know. My connection seems a little wonky.
But it worked. This was awesome. Let's go through the questions. Cool. There was a lot of "this is awesome." Here's one, and it's semi-related. I think it's the wake word detection. Can we define commands that automatically recognize synonyms or related words? Example, go to order. Like commands. Has there been work done with that for speech to text?
Yeah. The goal of the speech-to-text solution is to sort of faithfully transcribe the words. But then you can combine it with, some other technology that we have, like language understanding, for example, to extract the intent of what the user wants. So if you have order something, right? The intent you can say it in a whole bunch of different ways, and we figure out like, oh, hey, this is an order. The custom commands that I mentioned is sort of an easy way for you to get started with something like that. And we have also these full-blown solutions through Bot Framework, and they have the new composer there that lets you really also graphically, visually write these kind of dialogue flows, and it uses the language understanding in the background.
That's cool
to figure that out.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, I could imagine a scenario like specifically for accessibility where having things that you can say out loud and then the computer understands and does action is super awesome as well. All right, Edward, to you, question from Sharafuddin. What languages are currently supported in CNV Crosslingual? CNV stands for Custom Neural Voice, by the way.
Yeah, so there are 13 languages that we support today. I actually have that on the slide.
Oh, let's put it up.
So Chinese, Australian English, UK English, American English, French, Canadian French, German, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Portuguese, Spanish, Mexican Spanish, and Spain Spanish. So,
cool.
So these are the start.
Are you going to be adding more, or
Sure.
Obviously you're adding more? Yeah.
Yes, we are. Yeah, there's actually something already working. And customers feel free to request because we want to know what are the languages that are important. So we based on the interest, we will add the languages in that kind of order.
That's cool, and everyone's excited. They're asking to share links. Can you put that screen up again with all the go-dos? There they are. We'll also put them in the show notes as well. I know Microsoft Developer has been pushing them out. This is, like I said, this is really cool. I mean, I might start a show and start on be like, hey, I'm going to let Robot Seth take over this time, and I'll just type it and have Robot Seth. By the way, here's another thing I've been wondering. I know I gave you 300 and whatever something utterances. What's the media, like how many things should people say into the tool in order for it to generate a good custom neural voice?
Well, 300 actually is the minimum. And a lot of if you want to increase the quality, I mean, the quality is pretty good, the one that we just listened to, but to someone, it's still not high quality. So some of our customers actually get to about 2,000 lines of recording, or some even go up to 4,000 lines of recording. Really, really create a good model that sounds, just perfect.
And so the one then the one is not really hi-fi, Seth. It's more like lo-fi, Seth, because I gave it the minimum amount of things. Is that right?
Well, it is high quality, but on the naturalness and the closest voice, there are some room for improvement if you do more recording lines.
Did it just get dark in here? Edward's like, you shouldn't talk like a robot, Seth. That computer wouldn't talk like a robot. Awesome. Okay. Any parting words before we say goodbye, my friends? Anything else you'd like to add to the folks that are watching? We got about 50 on right now.
Yeah, just give it a try, and follow the links and take a look at what we have. I think you will see there's a lot of cool things that you can do with this technology.
Edward?
Yeah, really look forward to our customers to try out and send us any feedback.
I love it. All right, so let's just see everyone. Thank you for the comments. Thank you, Edward and Heiko, and we'll see you next time, guys.
Thank you.
Great being on. Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, now it's just us, friends. Okay. Now I can put the crazy music on again. What is going on? This is the Surprise Me station on Pretzel. Okay, well, back to work. Hold on, let's see what they're saying to me on Teams. By the way, if you're on Learn TV, Feel free to get some questions. It looks like there's people saying stuff. Good afternoon from Henry Esk Apps. Hello, my friend. Thanks for coming. Okay, so we may or may not have a guest. I did mention to them if they do come on, it'll be at noon. And if we don't get them this time, that's okay too. We'll figure it out. Okay. I guess it's time to write some code. We were in the throes. Let's put this over here of doing some Roshambo. Is this big enough for everybody? It's big enough, right? I don't even remember what we did. It's been like 2 weeks. I don't remember what we did. What is this? I don't even know what we did. Okay, so let's do yarn a dev. I think this is a next app. I don't know anything about React, but we're trying to build the web part of our Roshambo project. And yeah. All right, here we go. From Learn TV. You're welcome, Henry. Thank you. By the way, if you're on Learn TV, it's aka.ms Learn TV. That's the only one that makes a sound in my stream because of the way I have this all hooked up. So if you hear the that's because someone on Learn TV is saying something. It's aka.ms Learn TV. By the way, but I'm happy that anyone can tune in from wherever they want to. Okay. So it looks like localhost 3000. So let's bring this up here. Let's do it right here. Let's have this browser open. No, this one's too corporate-y. It won't let me do the things I want to do. So let's do this one because I have there's a way on Edge to like be like, you know, like party Seth and then like business Seth. Business Seth, of course. So we are in party Seth mode. Okay, I remember. We need to get my video feed into here so that it can start recognizing rock, paper, scissors. So that's what we're going to try to get to work today. And I'll monitor the chats because maybe y'all can help me do this correctly. Okay, why wasn't this working? Let's see. We have this device selector, which tells us, people are saying stuff to me on the back channel. You can see the chat over here. Okay. Yeah, people are asking questions. Great. Okay. So device selector, here we go. Okay. So it looks like we are having a hard time getting the devices to show up. How did I do this? Get media devices, go to different. Okay. So it looks like this is all TypeScript. Do you ever go back to a project and you're like, what the heck was I doing? By the way, just to get people up to speed on what we're doing we're doing a rock, paper, scissors website where you can play rock, paper, scissors against my website, but all in the browser. And so we spent the last couple of months building this AI model. You can see it right here. It's fantastic. It works great. I think we are using ResNet 18. Oh, okay. I'll have to fix that. You can see that we're using a ResNet 18 with 2 FCs, fully connected models with softmax for probability on the output. Oh, Jose has questions. Jose, please, my question. Does this solution have similarities with BERT? So BERT is a language model in the sense that, if I remember right, it's like an encoder. It might have similarities with BERT. Well, it definitely does have similarities with BERT, in particular that it's a neural network. But how it's built, I cannot say. And they would likely, and I know there's people asking, like, well, let me go back. Yeah, Jay, this really is really good stuff for call center. But someone asked, here, Jose, what kind of deep learning topology is used in this case? My sense is that they're not going to tell you. Right? It's kind of like going into someone's shop and being like, hey, tell me the code you use to build this cool thing. They probably won't tell you. I mean, I can ask them. I don't know if they'll tell you. I should have asked them this, but I don't think they'll tell us, right? Because it's like they really look at it from the point of view of like, does this do the thing we want it to do? But there is some neural network topology in there. There's probably several models working together. I'll ask him, Jose. Send me an email. My email, by the way, is seth.juarez@microsoft.com. It's pretty easy. So yes. So does it have similarities with BERT? Yes. There's stuff that goes in. It goes through this neural network and stuff that comes out. BERT is a transformer model, if I remember right. Let me see. I don't remember. Let's go to BERT. BERT model, and this is Hugging Face. The Hugging Face people, right? Where are they? There you go. BERT model, language model. Okay. Bidirectional encoder representations for transformers. Yeah. Is a transformer based machine learning international? There was a training by Google. BERT was published in 2018. His colleagues. 2 modes. BERT, 12 encoders, 12 bidirectional self-attention heads, and large, 24. I would like to know. Question. I would like to know. Speech is a sound. Then it should support any language. Yes, it should support any language, but the nuance of the language needs to be trained. Right? You can't. I can generate sound easy. Like I can create static sound. I don't know. I mean, we could spend an hour figuring out how to do that in Python and generate wave files, probably. But generating wave files that sound the right way based on the text is quite hard, if I remember right. But that's a great. The answer to that is absolutely. It should support any language. Yes, but we have to train it. And do we have the adequate data of people talking a certain way to train it? I don't know. Let's see. One day I will join Microsoft, and we would be all the better for it. Nikit. Ivana, we would love it. Maybe I'll send y'all an email or something. You know, we have things to get done as well. Okay, all right. So thank you for that detour. That was fantastic. I do want to answer your questions because I promised. So that's what this is. Now we're trying to find how to get the devices out, and I'm not a React expert, so how do we do this? It looks like this isn't working, so let's try something crazy. Async. Whoop. Async function. And then we'll execute it. How about this? Okay. How about we do this? We'll say const devices equals okay, I have to do this, otherwise it won't work. Okay, const devices equals await get media devices, and then what we want to do is we want to set devices to D. Okay, so let's try that. Should we just breakpoint on set devices to see what values are going? I don't know how to do that in Next, Jay. Like, does that even work when I do yarn dev? I'm such a noob at this stuff. All right, here we go. Nothing in there yet. Let's do this. We're going to go old school console.log. Like we're in 1997. What? Console.log? Seth, are you kidding me? It's like I'm a little kid. All right, let's go back here. And let's Control-Shift-I. And let's see what... Oh, stuff is happening. So it is doing it. Why isn't it showing up here, though? Permissions for this site. Ah, hold on. Allow. Let's go back. Oh, hey, yo. Okay, so we've got our devices now. It was a permission thing. Let me go back to ask, and let's see if it'll ask for it. No, it didn't. So let's refresh. It doesn't ask for it. Okay, so let's go back to... I'm going to this website. So was it github.com /Seth Juarez /vision. Duh is right. Jay. Oh no. There's some problems with this. Source. I made this work in Vue, but it felt kind of cheesy. Oh, they found a vulnerability. No bueno. Okay. So Control Plus on this because we need to see it. This is how I wrote it in Vue a long time ago. Because remember, we showed this a while back. So here's a question from DF Mera. I missed the first part. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what I'm doing either. I feel like I'm lost. I'll tell you. So we're building a website where I can like turn my camera on and be like, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. And the website will look at me, know what I did. It'll look at me, and then it'll play against me. And so what we're trying to do now is we've built the model. The model is here. Actually, to be fair, the model is right here. This is the model. I can open it too. Reveal and Explorer. Reveal and Explorer. Here we go. We're opening an AI model. Here it is. This is the model. It's really tiny, right? But it works pretty well. And the tinier, the faster it'll be, right? And so we're trying to get this to run in the browser. So right now, what I'm doing is, you know how when you try to go to the store, so you go to your keys and then you go into your drawer, and when you pull the keys out, like the thing is loose, and then you're like, oh, I need to tighten this up. So you go to the garage to get the screwdriver, or you go to wherever you keep your screwdriver, and when you put that out, you find out that something's chipping a little bit, but you need to get the tape. So you go to and so right now we're at the tape phase of trying to fix the crack, to get the screwdriver in the broken drawer, to get the keys to go to the car. It's called yak shaving. So that's where we are. So Jay is right. The UI is React Next, but the model is in Python. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to become full stack ML engineers. That's what we're trying to do by doing that. By the way, did you notice my yes, we're loading Onyx model, compiling Python and browser React. Yep, that's what we're doing. Jay is correct. All right, did y'all hear my sound effects, or what do you think? Should I keep using them? It makes it sound like really cool. Full stack developer. Like that makes it sound more important, I think. Did I answer your question, DF Mara? It's a really good question. Yeah. So let me turn the music back on because I want to make sure we answered that. So right now what we're doing is I'm trying to access the actual camera from the browser so that I can show the actual video. And we got stalled here last time and it didn't work. And now apparently we're a lot smarter than we used to be. And so notice that, oh, it's not working now. Permissions for the site. You may have my camera. And you can see here that now it's actually my camera. And now, for example, I have a lot of cameras. Like, for example, this is the one we're using right now where you see my face in. This is the one we're going to use to test it out. Beldathis is here. We actually didn't do anything until you showed up. You know, we were waiting for you the whole time. So, you and your corgi, thanks for making us late. Just kidding. Okay. Thank you for coming, my friend. Charvenu says, please make the demo in Blazor. I mean, I would. Here's the thing that I'm finding. The ecosystem for React and Vue is very rich. And I find that if I'm using something brand new like Blazor, I don't know. I'd run more problems because I don't know. We're doing crazy stuff as is. I don't know. Okay, so we got these input devices, so we don't need to do console.log anymore because we got it to work. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, so friends, my special guest is here. He's so nice for coming. I have a lot of questions about TypeScript, and hopefully he's going to help us with that. I'd like to welcome my good friend Anders. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Good to see you, Seth.
Dude, it's so good. We don't hang out anymore. What happened? Is it I was stalking you too much?
Other than Corona, I mean.
No, like we actually, no joke. I was going to get my vaccine, and because in Seattle they're very good about we got over 70% vaccination, and I'm going to get my vaccine, and guess who I saw there? But none other than Anders Halsberg.
Yeah, I actually ended up volunteering at that mass vaccination site.
What did you do? Like, what did you do? You just there like?
Well, mostly vaccination data entry. So they had a whole, but they had like as many as 150 vaccination stations going, and so every table had someone doing the medical stuff, and I was doing all the data entry. So it was fun. I wrote out a lot of those CDC vaccination cards. So.
Oh my goodness, that is so cool. Well, you're awesome. So Anders, look, I stink at JavaScript. The last time I did JavaScript in earnest was I did an image rollover when I was 16, and it's changed a lot. So I was hoping, like, I have like 1,000 questions. If you know the answer, then nobody does. I figured I'd ask you.
Well, depending. I mean, I know a lot about TypeScript. I know a lot about VS Code and whatever. But once you get into the depths of React and whatever, I might not be quite as helpful.
Not even React. Like, I want to step back, like, into, because like I'm used to C#, I'm used to Python, but the way things are organized nowadays in like JavaScript applications is bananas. It's not anything like the first time I looked at it, I was like, there's a lot going on. Like, here's this app. I don't know what half of it is doing, if I'm being honest. But like just these files alone, like if we were to zoom in to here, like let's just start with what is this for?
So package.json is so first of all, your app here is running on Node, or part of it is running on Node, and package.json talks about like what makes up this app if you were to like install it through Node. And so package.json describes all of the dependencies that you have in your project, be they runtime dependencies or development dependencies, and you can look at those right there, right?
I see.
It describes your version number, et cetera, and so it's sort of the thing that it's the metadata for your app from Node's perspective or an NPM's perspective, the Node package manager. Right.
This is confusing though. Like this is why I get so confused, because Anders, for me, there's stuff that runs like here on the OS, and there's stuff that runs on the web, and it feels like this doesn't distinguish between them, does it?
Well, I mean, it yes and no. I mean, obviously, JavaScript can run in the browser, but in the browser you might not. You, for example, do not have Node.
No.
So it is sort of funny, but what this is describing is the dependencies here that it describes are your runtime dependencies. So those are the dependencies that you would have in the browser. Your dev dependencies are the dependencies that you want to have present at development time. So as you can see, you want all the type definitions for React. You want ESLint because apparently you're linting as well. You want TypeScript installed. You're probably using Webpack, I would imagine, to package your app. And so basically, this file describes, in a sense, both sides of the equation.
So that's the part that always like has troubled me about these kinds of, because I built it and things have worked, but I always feel like like there's some hidden magic happening that separates. Because yeah,
I mean, there is a lot of magic happening. I mean, one of the big advantages of developing under Node is that you have JavaScript both on the client side and on the server side. So you have JavaScript at development time and you have JavaScript at runtime. And you can even like write code that can work on both tiers. And that's obviously nice.
Yeah.
In terms of magic, yes, there's lots of magic because you are writing in this app. I looked at it briefly. It looks like you're writing what I would term modern JavaScript, which means you're using modules and classes and whatever, and you're also using JSX, which is the markup that React uses. Now, JSX, first of all, is not part of JavaScript proper, and that means you need a post-processing. So TSX files, for example, have JSX in them. And you see down there where you say return, and then you have what looks like HTML in the middle of your JavaScript there, where you're returning select, et cetera, et cetera. That markup has to be post-processed in order to turn it into JavaScript, into the equivalent JavaScript. TypeScript can do that for you. Other tools can do it too, like Babel and so forth. So that's one thing. Now, because JSX is so popular, we actually have built-in support for JSX in the TypeScript compiler and type checker and analyzer and so forth. And that means that we understand what this markup is doing, and we can semantically analyze it and give you statement completion in the middle of it when you're writing code in there and so forth, which of course is super nice.
That is nice.
Yeah. Now, you also, as you can see at the top of your file, you're using imports and exports, which means you're using modules. And today, most browsers support modules, but there are lots of browsers that are older that don't. Yeah. And even if you are running in a browser that supports modules, modules have an interesting history in JavaScript. You know, like the module standard for JavaScript proper was defined without ever specifying exactly how it has to be implemented in the browser. And the implementation that ended up happening in browsers is not particularly efficient, because for every module import that you have, it incurs a separate round trip to fetch that file. And if you're importing, say, 100 modules, then startup of your app would do 100 round trips, you know, before you even get going. And that's obviously not particularly efficient. And so what most people do when they write modern JavaScript apps like this is they use a packaging tool such as Webpack. And Webpack, in turn, analyzes your entire app. And you could think of it as it takes all of the files that make up your app and put them into a separate single file. So it merges all of your modules into a single file that the browser can then download. And that makes your startup much more efficient of your app. It also does tree shaking, meaning it eliminates dead code. So if you have modules that you imported but you're never actually using, or you're only using parts of those modules, Webpack can eliminate all of the rest of the code that you didn't use. And so it can make your footprint a lot smaller. And so pretty much anyone writing a modern JavaScript app today also uses a packaging tool like Browserify or Webpack or what have you. And of course, these tools then in turn use TypeScript as a loader, so they can directly take TypeScript files, erase all the type annotations through TS Loader, and then do their packaging in order to squeeze it into a single JavaScript file that you then end up deploying. So ultimately, if you were to crack that file open and look in there, you'd see that like your functions are still in there, but they're surrounded by a bunch of code that the packager put in place for you.
So let me, because I feel like I need to draw a diagram at this point, right? Because yeah. Basically I have my let's just say it's the TSX, right? The TSX file, and a bunch of other stuff. Plus, we'll say TSX plus. So basically, it has to go through this notion of, first of all, it needs to be converted to JavaScript.
Yes, and that means two things. Like when it gets converted to JavaScript, there's actually two transformations that happen. There's first removing all the type annotations.
Okay.
And then there's like turning the JSX into JavaScript.
Oh, because that's another
thing that you have in those files that isn't standard. And then you might also be down level compiling. So you might need to transpile. Let's say, for example, you want to ensure that your app can run on an older browser that doesn't support classes. Let's say you want to run on an ECMAScript 5 compliant browser. Well, they didn't even have classes. So now you need to down level your code. So that might be then step number 3 is you want to emit down level JavaScript. And TypeScript is both a type checker and a transpiler. So at development time, we help you by type checking your code, and type checking gives you all sorts of advantages like code navigation and statement completion and error messages, errors up front instead of when your app runs, right? But then there's the transpiler side of it, where we can take modern JavaScript and down level it to, say, ECMAScript 5 compliant JavaScript that can then run in any browser. So you get to use modules and classes and all sorts of fancy features, but then we turn it into JavaScript that has no modules in it and no classes in it. So it's
like JavaScript, but with no class. Sorry, Anders. This is the kind of show I run. He's like, dang it, Seth.
On your bad jokes, are you?
So, but once it goes into here, then there's got to be some analysis to do the tree shaking, right? And now,
well, yeah. So we don't do tree shaking, but that's where Webpack comes in then, which ultimately then Webpack will take all of your modules, and some of it, depending, you can have Webpack do some of this work, or you can have TypeScript do some of this work. There's some overlap there in the boundary between who does what. But Webpack ultimately is, you can think of that sort of like your classic coding analogy would be it's your linker.
Oh, okay.
Right? That takes all of your well, they're not OBJ files, right? But they're your JavaScript files or your TypeScript files, and then it links them all together and forms a single deployable JavaScript file.
Whoa.
And that's the one that you want to execute, so to speak. That's the one you want to send to the browser, right?
So how does it know, like, and this is the part that's tough, right? Because in Next, there is this ability to do something called get static props, which runs on the node side. But it somehow gets hydrated on the client side.
So now you're talking about something different. Now you're talking about your framework, whichever framework you're using. Like you're using React for your UI, and it sounds like you're using Next for your as your app framework, right?
Yes.
That runs on the server and part in the browser. And these frameworks are very good at like remoting requests, turning them into messages, JSONifying them, and then routing the messages on the server side, right, to whichever request handler you have there, that in turn serves up the data and returns it, so it goes back over the network to the browser and gets slurped up over there using XML HTTP requests typically. And
so it does that without me having to interfere, and that's the part that always confuses, because like things running in the web and things running on the server, to me there's always been this like boundary that you shall not ask Gandalf kind of thing, where you have to like talk to each other in a very special way.
Right, and you have to be cognizant of where does traffic happen? When does requests get sent, and when do they return, and so forth? And that sort of like depends on which framework you're using. So that now we're sort of talking about the specifics of Next.
Okay. And I don't want to get into that, because I feel like there's already too much that I'm trying to. Right, and I'm like a fairly okay technical guy, and so the fact that this has become this complicated, it's not complicated. I can see why you would do it this way. There's so much. I mean, why would you do it this way? Help me out.
Why would you do it this way as opposed to, well, I mean, because you get to leverage an enormous amount of stuff here. Like, I mean, you build a React app, and, you know, React apps automatically can do layout on different aspect ratio browsers and whatever. You know, you can with a fairly easily turn them into mobile apps. You know, your web frameworks, you don't want to manually be unpacking requests messages and parsing the JSON and whatever. I mean, so there's so much stuff that needs to happen, and these frameworks provide a bunch of scaffolding that allows you to just focus on your business problem, right? And that's when you look at the amount of code that's in your app, it's not a lot, right? I mean, and you have a functional app here that manages to then talk to an AI backend that uses Python and whatever, right? So I mean, there's a lot going on here for not a whole lot of code that you have to write. But yes, there are complexities. I will admit that, but it is a complex world that we live in, right? I mean, and this, if nothing else, it makes it simpler than if you have to start from scratch.
Yeah, we live in a complicated world. By the way, get your questions going because I'll keep going here. So here's another question that I have. So let me go to these components here. This is a React style component. I don't know how much you know. You probably know a lot about React. This is a very functional programming. Like, I'm looking at this, and I have like I don't know, less experience than you, but I've been programming for 20 years. And all of a sudden I had to start thinking about some pretty complicated programming concepts.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, part of it here is, of course, that you're doing async stuff, which pretty much whenever you're programming in the browser, async is more or less unavoidable. Now, there's a question of how the asynchrony surfaces. Traditionally in JavaScript, asynchrony would be visible to you through callbacks and events, right? That get called asynchronously, meaning that you initiate some action, and then as part of the initiation of the action, you specify a function that gets called back when the action is done or in the process or whatever. But control then continues in your app, and then later you get a call when something has happened, right? And so that's the asynchrony. And there are different ways you can package, if you will, that asynchrony. One is through callbacks, but callbacks have a way of turning your code into these sort of like inverted pyramids of, you know, where then this calls and then this calls and then this calls, and state management is kind of tricky. JavaScript now has support for async code that is very inspired by work that we did in C# about 10 years ago. But JavaScript now does support async functions and the await operator, where you can asynchronously, you can have the illusion that you're writing code that executes linearly, but in the middle it can yield and then control can come back. So for example, you have a call to await there, or you have an await operator, sorry, it's not a call. But you have an await where you said await get media devices. And really what ends up happening at that await is that the remainder of the code in your async function gets passed to as a callback to the promise returned by get media devices. So the compiler, in a sense, or the runtime, depending, turns this into the equivalent of calling the then method on the promise that was returned by the async function, and then passing a callback. But you have the nice illusion of just writing linear code or sequential code.
Yeah, and this is the part that was like, because like look, I didn't understand functional programming all the way until I grad school functional programming class. You know, the guy that wrote Scheme, you know, taught me functional programming, and I was like, oh, you know, functions are just different kinds of data types that you can make them do things, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so this construct right here, there's a lot going on, right? There is, first of all, use effect is like a deferred execution of this function, the whole thing,
Yeah.
which is a deferred execution of this thing, right? Which then gets executed here, right?
Well, and then there's asynchrony, because the set devices call is asynchronously later executed once the promise returned by get media devices completes. So yes, there's a lot going on in these few lines of code there.
And the cool thing is that, like, obviously this was doable before, but not this concisely.
Oh, absolutely, yes. And yeah. And you see other things using modern JavaScript, like, again, as you're using modules, you're also using destructuring. You see like that const devices, comma set devices equal use state. That's part of your state management that sort of gives you back the current value of the device's property and a function that you can use to change it, right? Because you can't just assign to it, because what you have here is a copy of the state. But so underneath there's a state manager that whenever you set the value of the device's state variable, right, then something may have to happen to your UI, right? And the state manager will effectuate all of that. So all you have to think about is just, I have the value of devices and I have a function that allows me to change that value.
And that's cool, because I might even not be using this right, because there's a way to, like, for example, give it the dependency list.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna sort of start to peter out here on my knowledge too about what precisely is going on and what the framework does with all of this. But these state management services are pretty nice, because it allows you to think of your world as just an effects-free or almost effects-free sort of data structure, and all you do is you just modify the data structure, and then all the UI that's attached to the data structure automatically updates itself, right? And that's a very nice model because it sort of mirrors the way you think of the app in your head, right?
You've already been super generous with your time. Just two more questions. I don't see the package manager. Is that something that's just hidden in the next framework? Because I don't see where would that show up.
Well, I'm not sure. Maybe you are not. Maybe I don't know how your packaging occurs here, or maybe it doesn't occur, or maybe you're just serving the modules up.
Say yarn dev,
but that might well be that you're not webpacking this.
Oh, look, it is.
Oh, it is webpacking. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So that means like Next basically is using Webpack just as a library, and so you don't have to have a separate configuration file for it.
And then the other question is, and that was the first one, so that's already in there, and you can see it's running right here, I think. And you can see it loads up the cameras, right? Because I'm making a website where I can do rock, paper, scissors, and it will see me and know what it's doing. But again, this is running in the browser, so the model is going to run in the browser, Anders, when I'm done, which is kind of cool.
It is cool.
The last question is the difference. I've seen a couple of things when doing things in Node. I've seen npm, I've seen npx,
right?
I've seen yarn,
right?
What's the difference between all these things?
Well, let's first talk about npm. So npm is the Node. It stands for Node Package Manager, and it's the package manager for the Node runtime. It's the thing that knows to go to the package registry maintained by npm, now by GitHub, where all of the modules that you could reference through Node are stored, and from where you can download them, right? And so npm is the thing that effectively downloads all your dependencies from the Node package registry. And the download, it's based on what you specify in your package.json. I mean, you can manually say, go download this particular module, but typically NPM will just look at your package.json and then install whatever modules you reference, and in turn all of their dependencies, right? And you can see in your package.json here that you can specify precise versions, or versions like either I must exactly have this version, or I'll take anything later than this version, and so forth. And so there's a bunch of options for setting that up. Now, let's talk about Yarn next. Yarn, in a sense, is just an optimized version of NPM. NPM can get pretty slow when you have very large projects. And Yarn is an optimized version of NPM that can more quickly download all of your dependencies. So a lot of people use Yarn, but it is, in a sense, a functional substitute for NPM.
Okay.
And typically you use one or the other. NPX is a slight variation on NPM. It's a version of NPM that allows you to execute a package after you downloaded it without hard installing it on your machine. So when you npm install something, it goes into your node modules folder and it sits on your machine in perpetuity until you manually delete it, right? With npx, you can say, I want to run this module. I want to download it and run it right now. But I don't want any trace of it left on my machine. And so that's what npx does. Other than that, it's really just, and you can do the same with npm. It just takes some more command line options, and npx is a shorter way of not having to say those command line options.
I'm trying to see when would be a good, what's a good use case for NPX? Like, when would you want to just download?
Personally, I have never used it, but I'm sure there are modules that you may want to just execute that does something or whatever. I don't know, like utilities or whatever that you don't want to install, but you just want to run them.
Cool. So two more, last thing, I promise. Talk about this d.ts and then this ts config, because you're the man when it comes to what do those things do?
So let's start with the d.ts file. So when we designed TypeScript way back in the beginning, we knew that we wanted to have the ability for you to have type annotations in your code, so we can build better tooling based on those types, and so we can, help you be more productive, right? But a big part of that equation is that, typically your code uses other frameworks, right? Even back then, even 10 years ago when we started this project, people were already using JavaScript frameworks. They were just different frameworks like jQuery or whatever was in vogue at the time, right? Backbone. Now, in order for us then to provide an intelligent experience, we basically need type information for those frameworks. Because if you're calling functions in jQuery, it wouldn't be all that helpful if we could not type check those, right? But we could, but we also knew that there's no way we were going to persuade every framework author in the universe to write all of their code in TypeScript so we could have the type annotations, right? So we needed to effectively create a manner in which you can separately provide the type information for a library. And that's what a d.ts file is. You can sort of think of it as, like the classic coding equivalent is a .h file. Like when you're coding in C or C++, you have CPP files or .c files, and then you have .h files. And the .h files are, in a sense, an abstract that says, what does this module do, right? It's all of the public interface of the module laid out in a single file. And that's what a d.ts file is too. So it allows us to type check code that uses a particular framework without actually requiring that the framework be written in TypeScript.
Which is nice.
And within I swear, within 4 days of us shipping the initial release of TypeScript back in October of 2012, within 4 days, someone set up a GitHub repo called Definitely Typed. And Definitely Typed is this place where the community, at large, the entire JavaScript community collects type definitions. If you go to definitely typed, it is one of the most active. Well, yeah. If you go to GitHub, this is just their landing page, but you can go to go to the repo there, and indefinitely typed here on the repo. I don't know. You can if you go to definitely type, go to that one. Let's see how many contributors and forks and whatever it is. 76,000 commits, and I think by last I looked, upwards of 12 or 14,000 separate committers have contributed to definitely type. So basically, anyone who desires to have type definitions for a framework can go write them and then contribute them on definitely typed, and then the community can maintain them and make them better and better and so on. And the TypeScript team at Microsoft actually runs a bunch of services that will take information from the definitely typed repo, package it up into NPM modules, and deploy it under the @types namespace on NPM. So all of the frameworks you see in here are directly installable from NPM automatically. In fact, we run an entire bot farm, I would say, that like manages pull requests and all of the infrastructure around doing the packaging and moving pull requests through the infrastructure of DTS, running tests against them, et cetera, et cetera.
This is cool, and this was not something that Microsoft did. Is someone was like, "Oh, we should probably have a place."
We never set it up, and we were not involved in it for the first 6 years, I think. But eventually, the workload of maintaining definitely typed and making sure that all of the type definitions are uniform and packageable and deployable became too much for the community, and the community pleaded with us to please get involved. And so we run a bunch of services now, but we don't actually moderate the content. The content is built by the community. All of what's actually in the DTS files is built by the community, but we run a lot of the infrastructure around making sure that it's correct, that it has tests, that it doesn't degrade performance, that it gets deployed to NPM, that people review pull requests, that committers and owners and whatever, there's a bunch of stuff going on there.
I mean, look at the amount of languages in the README file. This is really cool.
Yep.
So
anyway, so that was that, and then there's tsconfig.json. That is the file that describes to TypeScript all of the compiler options that you want to use when TypeScript is checking your code, which libraries to bring in, which ECMAScript version you want to target when you're transpiling, which other projects you might reference if you have sort of the equivalent of a solution, and so forth. And also where to find your files. You can set up like includes and exclude paths and whatever, all sorts of good stuff, path mappings.
Well, this has been a joy, my friend. Maybe, hopefully, if you have time, when we get this done, you can come in here and be like, Seth, you need to fix your code here or here. Because the reality is, I feel like I'm a good programmer. I C# dev for 10 years, Python programmer since, forever. But the JavaScript, when people say front end dev, it's some serious stuff that's going on.
Oh, there's a lot going on. There's a lot to learn, and I tell you, the JavaScript ecosystem is incredibly vibrant. I mean, there's literally the framework du jour or du month, at least. It's amazing how fast things move and how many new technologies there are to learn at all times. That's the power of open source, right? When you have and it's also, of course, JavaScript today is the world's biggest programming language in terms of number of users, and like any metric you grab, JavaScript just totally dominates. And so the entire world is invested in this ecosystem, right? And it's phenomenal to see how much energy goes into it.
Well, I am adding my tiny drop to the bucket. Anders, it's a pleasure being with you, buddy.
Yeah, it was good to see you. Yeah.
All right, we'll talk soon, hopefully.
Yeah. All right. Take care.
Bye. All right, my friends. That was Anders Halsberg. Did I mention that he created the language called TypeScript and C# and Delphi and one more? Yeah. Well, I feel like we got a little bit of a education there. Thanks to Anders, I feel like a little bit more confident on what's actually going on in here. We should invite more people too to help us out, because like I emailed Anders on Tuesday, I think. I was like, hey dude, can you come explain how this works? He's like, I haven't used Next, but I know about TypeScript. I'm like, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. I'm gonna take a drink here. Thanks, Anders. Yeah, this construct here, the complexity of that is just, it's absolutely amazing. Absolutely, like from a programming perspective, it's amazing. Go TypeScript. That's right, Microsoft. If I want to get caught up with where you are now, where should I start? That's from Learn TV. That's Thomas Zink. Great question. Let's actually go to github.com. And if you go to AI Advocates, Roshambo is where we're storing all of the stuff, right? It's all in here. We recently did a smart thing. We did like a project. I don't know where that project file went, but we made a project file so that all this stuff looks like really cool, because we wanted to keep everything really separate. I don't know where the project file is, though, to be honest. There it is. Oh, no, that's not it. There it is. It's in the code. It's in here. Because I wanted each thing to have its own VS Code folder, to launch and do stuff. Okay. Yes, indeed, Anders. Oh, yeah, I'm not sharing a screen because I'm an idiot. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jay. Oh, hold on. Sometimes I wonder if I'm doing this right. Okay, thank you for that, Jay. I'm not sharing my screen. This from a computer science perspective, this is bananas. 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 Here's a function that I pass a function into that has a function that's running asynchronously that we define and execute while awaiting another function to set the state of another function that was created using destructuring. There, this makes it clearer now. Okay, now we know what's happening. There you go. There you go. It's like, yeah, we're doing some JavaScript. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is bananas. All right, so let's make some more progress here. Let's go back to this thing. By the way, Anders is great. If you have any ideas on who I should invite on, let me know. There's a lot of people, cool people that work at Microsoft, and sometimes they answer my emails. Sometimes they answer my emails. Okay. Alrighty, so we want to go back to I built this other thing, but I built it in a really lazy way, and we're trying to make some good code here. So let's go to this little bit here on the client side. Sarce capture.view. Yeah, text to speech was fantastic. I'm going to try to set up a text to speech thing on my machine over here so that I can have it be like introduce things. And I'm gonna see. Beldothas says, can I invite Guido? Maybe. He was on Learn TV. I'll email him, see if he answers me. Jeez. All right. So looks like we also need a video player. So we made this device selection thing work, but we need like a video player. And I think I push it into the canvas. How do I do this here? How did I do this back in the day? So this is how I got the devices. This.video equals document.element by ID. Get config.json. Load model. This.video. Where's video? Control F. Video. AI for Senba. I'm your only view on Twitch. Stay strong. We can do this together. Be strong. All right, let's go back over here. Videos. It's in there like 21 times. Looks like there's a video ID. All right. How do we tell it what to? How did I tell it what to play? So there's Twitch. Yes, there is. Code Doctor. Oh no, Beldathis is there too. Stay strong, my friends. Someone's got to keep Twitch open. And if it's you, then thank you. All right, so we have a video player here. So it looks like I was trying to be clever and create a video. Where are you at? A video thing. Did I make a video component? I did. All right, so let's do this. And let's start to make this more of a thing-a-ring-ring. Okay. So let's put the video thing in there. Autoplay equals true. Is it not like this? Why? Autoplay. I have to capitalize this thing, apparently. And I probably have to do this. Oh. That's how you should spell true, by the way. True. Let's fix that here. Okay. So we have this thing. Let's where are the style? Where are you at, Styles? Here. So let's do this. What is it? Because we want to make sure it's there. ID video. So video killed the radio star. We're gonna apply here some tailwind stuff. Border gray 100. Let's go back to this one and see what we got. Is it working? Yes, things are happening. I guess we got to wait for localhost. Got to wait for localhost. By the way, this is already telling me what camera. And so we've got to find a way to... Oh, something's happening. Something's happening. Where's the border? Where are you? Inspect element. Uh-oh. Each child in the list should have a uh-oh. Somebody's got a frowny face. That would be me. Oh, so this is not happy. What's the deal with that? Doesn't like that. Video 320 by... Oof. This feels all wrong. ID. You know what? I don't... Ivana knows Tailwind better than I. I don't know why I did this. This was stupid. I should just do it directly in line. Why am I... let's do this here. Class name. No. Class name equals. No, equals. And then we wanted to do border black. We'll do that. And then we'll see if it starts to show up here. And then looks like there's a problem with prop class name did not match. Server null, client border black. And then each child must have a unique prop device selector. So let's fix that first. So we'll go to our device selector. Looks like it needs a key here. So let's just do key equals, and we'll give it the device ID, right? Because why not? So let's see if that goes away, because nobody likes an error. Refresh here. By golly, we're going to get this video to show up. Yeah, we need to get the video source, Jay. We're going to get this to show up. But for some reason, what's with the select element? Why is it not happy with this? What is it? HTML element must have a lang attribute. Psst. I don't like being told what to do, browser. Why is this mad at me? Click to reveal issues in the issues panel. What's the issue? Oh, it has no title attribute. Let's fix that. Select title equals select video camera. That was my French. Camera. Okay, we did that. Thank you. We did that. Why is the video class, why is this not showing up? Like it should be. Is that small? Is it the? It should be 240 high. Why is it not high enough? Let's go to the page. Maybe we'll figure it out there. So class name, boom. Maybe we'll just put it over here. We'll put another paragraph because why not? Or a div. We're gonna be modern about this and put this in a div. That's right. Div. Okay, format document. Thank you. Now it looks pretty. And let's go over back to here and let's see when we refresh. We have this now, which is beautiful, but I'm not seeing the camera, right? I don't know why. Border solid 1 px black. Boop. Because this doesn't even look to be the right size, right? I mean, it should be 320 by 240, but it's reporting 320 by 141. And then this thing isn't even like, okay. It's not liking this either. Okay, so there's the video. So Tushar is saying, what am I doing? Nobody knows. And then my inner child is like,
What are you doing?
so Tushar, we are building a website that will use AI to look at me and play rock, paper, scissors against it. That's what we're doing. Hard set. Did you properly pick the resolution? Yeah, good question. I don't know if I did anything proper. I mean, I did this. I hard set height and width here, but maybe the div above it is forcing things, or maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't save. You know, maybe it's just as dumb as I didn't save. All right, someone on Learn TV said something. What do we got over here? So are you going to dub your show in different languages using text to speech? From Thomas Zink. I should. Suddenly I can believe I'm watching a Microsoft developer channel. Vivek is like, wah. Here, let me play it for you. Okay, yeah, that didn't work. So let's inspect the element here. Let's set the source and let's go from there. So one of the things we need to do is we need to lift state and figure out a way to tell it which device it's using. So let's go back to my thing here. This is the device options, and when the device options was set, media device, det filter, get device, this I'll get element ID, get the app settings method, set device. When the device is set, we let the stream await navigator.get media devices. We get the video track. Okay, so this is the code that we need to set when we do it, and we need to pass the device ID into the video to do it. Okay. So the first thing we need to do is we need to lift up the device ID, the state of the device ID for the device selector. So we need to find a way to pass a function into here so that it can pass the value out. And so, for example, for the device selector, we can have an onSelect, and then we can give it a function, right? That tells us the thing that it's done. So in order to do that, we need to somehow tell this thing that there is a prop called onSelect, which is of type device prop, right? Maybe I can try. Sona's like, maybe you can try Google Chrome. You know what? Joke's on you, because we're using WebKit under this. Yeah, Chrome and Edge are built on the same guts. So I am using it, but the guts of it only. All right, so we got that. So we need to find a way to let's see. Let's Google with Bing props into a React component type script. Okay, defining props in a React blah 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 class blah 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 function functional component. Okay, we got this. Okay, so device props. I think it's an interface. So we're going to say interface device props, and then what we're going to do is we're going to say onSelect is a. How do we describe this? How do we do function components? Let's see here. How do we do function interface? Type script interface function. Luca is saying, besides, Edge uses Chromium. I didn't mean WebKit. Luca is more correct. Uses Chromium, so it's kind of the same. TypeScript interface functions. Here we go. Change to. Oh, okay. Okay. onSelect. We're gonna put a ID, and this is gonna be a string, and then we just say any. Fantastic. So onSelect. We'll just do this. onSelect. D dot. Oh no, this is an array. So what we need to do is we need to do the onSelect here. onSelect equals, and then we'll have a function here for select. Yeah. So we'll have a function const select device equals. And then what we'll do is we'll say onSelect, and then we have to get a reference to this thing. So I think there's a way to do ref equals, and then you have to do something called use ref. There it is. My React that is non-existent. Const select element equals use ref of null. I think you pass it in initially, and then this one becomes select element, and then I can say this. I might be able to say select element dot current dot. Am I doing this right? What am I doing? I think this is the way you do it. So let me do this. Let me just send this. And then what are we not liking? Oh, on select is select device. Sorry about that. And now it's happy. So now let's do this. Let's go over here on select, and then we're going to say const select device equals boop. And this has an ID of string. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to say console.log. What is it passing us even? We'll just say any for now so that we can figure out what's going on. What? Oh, yeah, I got to give it a thing. Select device. Oh, okay. Okay, it's happy. It's happy. So we'll say ID of any. Here we'll say any, just so that we can pass it whatever the current element is, and let's see what happens. I mean, oh man, we're almost out of time here. So I'll put my closing music here. We would have got more done, but I wanted to talk to Anders. Let's see what happens. Nothing is happening. Why? Let's go back here. Let's figure this out. Let's close this one here. Selected device on select current. What are we doing here? What is going on? Luca, say, Mr. Host, do you always host a show, or are there many others? So I do every other week. Aishigal Yonet does the off week. She does some cognitive services, beautiful stuff. But this next week is going to be me. Aishigal is taking a well-deserved bunch of time off. And so it's going to be me for the next couple of weeks as well. So it's going to be every week for a little bit of time until my PM tells me to stop it. India. Mohammed from India. Welcome, buddy. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here. On select device. This is device prop. I'm passing on select in. I don't know why this is so ugly. There you go. Here on select device. It should do the thing. Maybe it's because I didn't save it like a goober. Here we go. By the way, this is my walk-off music. It tells me. Boop. Is on select the right one? Right event? Maybe it's not the right event. Well, let's see what events exist here on the device selector. On click composite. Is it click? What event is it? We don't know. We don't know. On ended, on focus, on input. Oh, is it on input? Let's try that one. Select device. Boop. Select device. Okay. Here we go. Refresh. There you go. Looks like it sent the whole dang shebang. How do we get selected value JavaScript? JavaScript selected value select. Dot value. Well, that was anticlimactic. So it looks like it's on input. Boop. We are almost out of time. I am so sorry. Let's see if this works. And if it doesn't, then the show is over. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Yes! Thank you so much for coming, my friends. As I said, next week it's going to be me. We're going to be talking. We're going to continue to do some of this work. Thank you so much for watching the AI show. As always, it's a privilege and a pleasure to be with you. Hopefully, we'll see you next time.